Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 and the Puma Deviate Nitro 2. So these are two of the best plated training shoes on the market. They are training partner shoes designed to be used in conjunction with the brand's top flight carbon shoes. The Deviate Nitro is a slightly cheaper shoe. It's £140 in the UK or $160 in the US. Whereas the Endorphin Speed 3 is £165 or $170. The Speed is the lighter shoe, it's 240 grams or 8.5 ounces in my UK size 9, whereas the Deviate Nitro 2 is 276 grams or 9.7 ounces in the UK 9. They both have an 8mm drop from heel to toe, and the stack heights are pretty similar, the Speed being 36mm at the heel, 28 at the forefoot, and the Deviate Nitro 2 being 36.5 at the heel and 28.5 at the forefoot. The design of the shoes, the Speed has a simple mesh upper with a fair bit of padding around the heel there, but not too much on the tongue. It's got a wider fit than previous editions of the shoe, which we'll come on to. In the midsole, you've got Saucony's Puma-based Power Run PB foam with an S-shaped nylon plate running through it. This plate also has little winglets on the side, which are designed to increase the stability of the shoe and make sure your foot is sitting on the plate correctly on the run. You've also got Saucony's Speed Roll rocker geometry in the shoe, which creates a nice smooth ride from heel to toe. And then you've got a rubber outsole with fairly sparse coverage, a fairly thin layer of rubber on the shoe here. It's designed to keep the weight down, but it still grips pretty well in the dry on the road in particular. So Deviate Nitro 2 has a mesh upper with a lot of padding around the heel to kind of fix problems with heel rub on the original version of the shoe. You've got little power tape elements on a large strip on the medial side and a little one on the forefoot there, which adds a bit more structure to the upper. In the midsole, you've got two different foams. You've got Nitro Elite on the top, which is a nitrogen-infused PBA foam, and then you've got Nitro on the bottom, which is a nitrogen-infused TPEE foam. So the Elite is the softer, bouncier foam, and then the standard Nitro foam creates a slightly firmer, more stable feel at the bottom of the shoe there. The Nitro runs all the way through the shoe as well, with the Nitro Elite kind of wrapping it at the forefoot. You've got a composite plate that runs through the midsole. It's 70% carbon, 30% TPU. And then you've got a Puma Grip outsole with really extensive coverage at the forefoot and the heel there, and it's quite a thick layer of rubber as well. The back, this is actually Puma Grip ATR, which is a slightly more rugged version of Puma Grip that works even better on light trails, but really the whole outsole is very good for runs on a range of terrains. The Speed got wider with the third edition of the shoe, and I have quite a narrow foot, so you can see how tight I've had to cinch the laces in the midfoot there to get a secure fit around the midfoot. I've also had to heel lock the shoe because I did have some heel rub issues with the Speed 3, which I didn't have on the Speed 2 or 1, but because it's that slightly wider fit, I had a bit more movement in the shoe and had a few heel rub issues on longer runs. That was the case with the Deviate Nitro 1. I used to get heel rub in that shoe, but with the 2, I don't get that at all. In fact, there's so much padding at the back here, it's almost to the shoe's detriment because it does get soaked in water or sweat quite quickly and absorbs a lot of liquid. But in general, the fit is great in the shoe in my normal size. In fact, I would still say go true to size in both of these shoes. Just be aware that the Speed 3 has that slightly wider fit than previous models, whereas the Deviate Nitro 2, I had no problems at all in my normal size. So the Endorphin Speed has long been my favourite kind of daily training shoe, and the Speed 3 is an absolutely fantastic shoe still. It's got a really great ride. It does bring a feel of kind of super shoes to your daily training with that soft bouncy foam, particularly the Speed Roll rocker, which does create a very smooth and lively ride. But then it's also pretty comfortable thanks to the fact it uses a nylon plate. There's a big stack of foam there. You can use it for easy runs as well. A couple of the runs that really stood out in my testing of the shoe, I did a kind of steady 10 miler on feel, running it in about 58 minutes, and then did a kind of hard session running 4 sets of 4K reps around 340 per K paces. Those kind of longer, harder marathon training runs that I really like doing in this shoe. So there'll be a few of those in a week for me, and maybe progression runs where I work from easy to steady paces and just ticks them off all really well because it is comfortable at the easy end of things, but then gives you bags of pace and a really lively feeling when you do sessions or work on harder runs or run tempo runs or go long. It's also great at kind of short, sharp reps on the track, and it works really well as an alternative to a full carbon shoe if you don't want to splash out the big money on a top tier carbon shoe. Speed 3 is a very, very good racing option that happens to also be a fantastic all-round trainer. The Deviate Nitro 2 I didn't take to immediately. I have to say the first couple of runs I wasn't really sure what I was getting from it, because I did expect, similar to the Endorphin Speed, that feeling of a super shoe for your daily training, and it actually has quite a muted ride, I think, because of the thick outsole on the shoe and the fact it's a bit heavier than the Speed. It doesn't really spring to life in the same way as that shoe. However, over time, after doing some faster runs in it, I really started to warm to it quite a lot. I actually did a very similar 10 miler in this shoe, just on field, running 10 miles pretty steady in around kind of 58, 59 minutes. But difference is with the Deviate Nitro 2, I did that run on trail very comfortably. It was on a disused railway line and light trails, nothing that most road shoes can't handle, but the grip of this shoe is particularly good, and it was towards the changing of the seasons, a little bit of mud, and just had no concerns at all about using this shoe. In fact, I've also done a speed session in it, running kind of minutes on with 30 seconds off. Again, I just was doing that on the road and thought, actually I'm going to come back via the canal because I can do these reps just as well on that in this shoe. Now, the Speed 3 will still run very well on those kind of light trails, but it doesn't have as good grip in the wet or on slightly rougher trails, and also the durability isn't going to be quite as good because of the more exposed elements on the outsole there, and the fact it's a bit thinner, the rubber on the shoe. You really don't have to worry about that with the Deviate Nitro 2. It is a great versatile shoe in terms of the terrains you can take it on. I've also taken it down the track, and I do think it's not as fast as the Speed 3. Certainly when you're doing all-out speed work, you're doing any kind of rep, it's going to be done more comfortably in the Speed. It's got that flowing ride, it's a lighter shoe, there's a bit more pop to it, it's better for long, hard efforts and short, hard efforts. But the Deviate Nitro 2 is still good at those runs. Like, it does cover them off well. Like, I enjoyed using it at the track. Like, you just don't get that magical feeling under foot of the foams combining with the plate. Like, there's great foams in this shoe. There's a plate in there as well, but it is quite a muted feeling. It feels much more like a trainer than the Endorphin Speed, even though the results are still very good when you do try and do hard runs in it. So you almost have to trust it a bit more, whereas the Speed, you pull it on straight away, you feel like, yeah, this is a great fast training shoe. I'm going to go out and smash out some runs. This shoe feels great to pull on when you are just going out for general runs, daily training runs, and you do want to hit some trails, some light trails like Canal Toe Pass, Forest Pass, park, little park paths. It's great to have this shoe available in that you can do a range of speeds on a range of terrains. There's a couple of really excellent shoes here, and both work very well as speed-focused daily trainers that can do your easy runs, but are also very good for speed work. The Speed is a lighter, more nippy, more exciting shoe that's definitely better for your fast training runs, your sessions, your kind of long, hard reps, that kind of thing. It's a joy to pull on for those kind of runs, and then it's still very comfortable when you are doing easier runs. Deviate Nitro 2 is definitely less exciting under fit. It's a heavier shoe. It feels like it's a bit more of a plodder, but actually does have the speed there when you want it, and it really is a very versatile shoe in what it can handle in terms of the training runs you're doing in it and the surfaces you're doing them on. It's actually not a terrible combination to have. You could put both of these in a rotation if you really love using plated shoes, but it's not really necessary. They do have a lot of overlap. The Speed, like I say, is the more speed-focused shoe. It's more racer than the Deviate Nitro 2, which is very much a trainer first, maybe a racer second, whereas the Speed I'd be very happy going into most events in. Wouldn't really love necessarily racing in the Deviate Nitro 2. I would feel there's a faster shoe out there to use, including the Speed and all the carbon shoes. So, when it comes to building a rotation, the Speed fits very well into one with a more cushioned option with a better outsole that you can use on trails and for your easy runs in general. And then the Speed handles all your sessions. You could use it as a racing option as well, or you can add a full carbon shoe like the Pro 3 or any of the others to give you a bit more of a kick on race day. Deviate Nitro 2 I think works really well as a one shoe runner because it is so capable on the terrains it can tackle and the range of sessions you can do in it. I think it's slightly hard to fit into a rotation because I still didn't love going really long in this shoe at easy pace. I don't think it's the most comfortable shoe in the world, so I probably would want a more comfortable option. Even actually like the Velocity Nitro 2, which has a lower stack, is a more comfortable shoe for cruisy, easy long runs. So you might end up having to use this shoe in rotation with an easy shoe and a fast shoe, which should position this more as your fast training shoe, which I do think the Speed does a better job of. However, as an all-rounder shoe, it is a lot closer, and it probably will depend a lot on what you value. Like, if you're just hitting roads all the time, you really like that poppy, exciting, lightweight feel of the Speed, it is a better shoe. It does all those things really well. But if you are someone who takes your runs off-road, you value durability a little bit more, this is a little bit of a cheaper shoe as well, and you're maybe less concerned about, top level performance during your fast runs, this is going to grind through daily training probably a little bit more effectively because it has that better outsole and that slightly more natural feel underfoot, it's fair to say. Both great shoes, both worth considering. Speed 3 is still my pick. I still think it's the best fast trainer all-rounder out there, but if you're starting to get a bit bored of the Speed 3, then I think this is probably the shoe I'd check out next if you're looking at a fast daily trainer. So guys, that's our comparison of the Speed 3 and the Deviate Nitro 2. Let us know in the comments what you think. Have you been trying both those shoes? Has anything made you sway away from the Endorphin Speed 3 this year, or are you just sticking with it because it's such a good, reliable choice? Please let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.